With the Wicks here on this beautiful Monday, June 27th, 2022, and welcome to the show, whether that's on Facebook or on YouTube. If you're on Facebook, do me a favor, hit that like, hit that share. If you're on YouTube, hit the subscribe. It'd be much, much appreciated. So, if you don't already know, I have had the opportunity and the luxury to start a new channel with a syndicate group of families. So, if you haven't already, go subscribe to the Minnesota Vikings Syndicate and check out the first video, which dropped today at 4, where I dive into the expectations for the Minnesota Vikings this upcoming season. That is going to be a channel strictly for Vikings content only, and I'm excited to get it started. But today on my show, we're going to be talking about the NFL. Not a lot is happening around the world of the National Football League, but there is a couple interesting things that we need to dive into, like Luke Kuechly, legendary Panthers linebacker, returning to the NFL. Is it on the field, or is it in the booth, or what is it? I don't know. We'll get to that in just a few moments. And then we have to dive into the Deshaun Watson situation, because apparently he is having his hearing, which will start taking place tomorrow. And last but not least, we got a pretty stellar boxing match just right around the corner for us to dive into at the end. So with that being said, are you ready to get your fix? So, ladies and gentlemen, one of the greatest linebackers in Carolina Panther history, middle linebacker that is, Luke Kuechly, is officially returning to the National Football League. However, it is not on the football field. He will not be playing for any specific team, but he is returning to the Carolina Panthers. In what type of role, you ask? Well, Luke Kuechly, ladies and gentlemen, has been hired to the Panthers radio broadcast team. The 7-time Pro Bowler and 2013 NFL Defensive Player of the Year recently spent time working with the team on its scouting staff. I believe that was about 2 years ago, or at least last year for sure. But now he's going to be on the mic. For Minnesota Vikings fans out there, you know about Paul Allen. We call him PA here on KFan. But Luke Kuechly is going to be on the Panthers radio broadcast team for this upcoming season. I am excited for it just because he knows football. Okay, he knows the whole ins and outs of defenses, and he will be able to give a really good insight of why players are doing certain things. And who knows, I'm not sure what his role specifically will be, whether that's play-by-play or color commentary, but I believe it's going to be the color commentary part. I just don't see an ex-NFL player ever doing the play-by-play, just because I feel like with being an ex-NFL player, you are the one that's going to be giving insight, right? You're going to be telling, like a Tony Romo. He's guessing plays. He's like, oh, they probably will run up the middle right here, and they do that, and he gives you an explanation of why they might do that and stuff like that. So the insight thing for ex-NFL players is a huge thing. So that's why they make really, really good color commentators. Now, play-by-play, I wouldn't rule that out. I feel like there's definitely some NFL players that would like to do that rather than color commentary, but it's just not in their wheelhouse, so to say, where color commentary basically is. So Luke Kuechly is going to be joining the Panthers radio broadcast team this season, and hopefully all works out, and hopefully he continues to do so on that broadcast team and bring more fans to the Carolina Panthers. So in other news, Deshaun Watson's trial has been ongoing this entire offseason. Actually started basically at the beginning of last year, where Deshaun Watson had the opportunity to play with the Houston Texans, but was at basically at a crossroads with the team, basically saying that, hey, I will not be playing this season. They lost DeAndre Hopkins, their star receiver, to the Arizona Cardinals. They also lost J.J. Watt to the Arizona Cardinals. People were leaving the Houston Texans left and right. Well, shortly after learning that Deshaun Watson didn't want to play with the Houston Texans, some unfortunate series of allegations came out. Those being sexual allegations and stuff like that. We had, I can't remember how many criminal cases. There was quite a few, at least 12 criminal cases, 20 total civil cases that had to go to court. The criminal cases, as they went to a grand jury for a hearing, ended up leading to Deshaun Watson not being indicted. All the criminal cases were dropped. But now we are in a time where we have to figure out the civil cases. What are we going to do with these civil cases? We're going to hear from every single one of the, one of the women that have these allegations against him. We're going to go about our business that way. And then 20 civil cases grew to 24 civil cases. 24 civil cases then grew to a final 26 civil cases. At least ESPN reports 26, but I believe the real number is actually only 24 civil cases, which, let's be honest, quite a lot, okay? It is a massive number, especially when you're looking at the type of allegations they are, right? If he did it, scumbag, get him out of the NFL. We don't want to see him play. But if he didn't do it, then let's move forward. So, with 24 criminal or civil cases or allegations, Deshaun Watson actually last week was able to come to settlements for at least 20 of those 24. Now, that means maybe he paid them, gave them money or whatever they needed. That is still remaining confidential. Nobody really knows what the settlements were. But we'd have to assume at some point that they are probably money related. I mean, that would just make the most sense, kind of some hush money or whatever you will. And right from the beginning, Deshaun Watson has been kind of adamant on saying, hey, look, I am innocent. Like, I've done nothing wrong. I'm going to work until my name is completely cleared. Until then, expect me to fight this head on. Well, the NFL and I believe a grand jury are looking into having a hearing for Deshaun Watson and hearing all these civil cases getting sorted out. Now, they are going to be commencing or starting tomorrow, as Adam Schefter has reported. So Deshaun Watson's hearing before the NFL and NFLPA's jointly appointed disciplinary officer Sue L. Robinson is scheduled to begin Tuesday, which is tomorrow, league sources told ESPN. Now, for those of you that don't know who Sue L. Robinson is, it's an appointed judge for the NFL to oversight this situation. And the situation is obviously one to kind of look at as it's definitely horrific, it's awful, but at the same time, who knows what actually happened. 66 different masseuses in a 17-month span Deshaun Watson's seen, but only 24 allegations came of it. So there's going to be a hearing tomorrow. Basically what this hearing is they're going to discuss what type of suspension needs to come of this. The NFL already has what they assume to be a full season suspension for Deshaun Watson, and they're going to be fighting for that. As in the NFLPA, who's going to be fighting for a shortened amount of, or a shortened suspension for Deshaun Watson. Not a whole season, probably fighting for at least 6 games, maybe 8 games, just to kind of have a little happy medium, because they believe, like we noted last week, that the owner's off-field allegations haven't been dealt with in the same manner as these allegations have. We know about the Robert Kraft situation in his the barbershop or whatever it was down in Florida, I believe, and we know about Dan Snyder and what's happening with his situation. Doesn't seem like he's going to go out of ownership or be out of ownership of the Washington Commanders, but it's definitely a real possibility still. That is still ongoing. But they believe that the owners haven't been held to the same accountability as the players, which they should. That is what the NFL Players Association believes. However, that's not the case. So Deshaun Watson is going to have a hearing tomorrow. And here's a statement that was written by Adam Schefter on ESPN. kind of detailing out what is going to happen and what to kind of expect from this, I believe. So here's this statement. If it is a little blurry, don't worry. I am going to read it. Just follow along the best you can. It says, Robinson has no track record of ruling on cases involving NFL players. Though one source said her decision could come within a week, might take until training camp. The NFL hopes for clarity on this case before training camp begins in late July. Once Robinson rules, Watson will have the option to appeal. NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell could either rule on that appeal or call on an independent ruler. Now, an independent ruler, obviously someone they would bring in to sit down and listen to what the allegation is, the appeal is, and then make an ultimate decision at that point. He goes on to say, Robinson, a former member of Delaware's district court for more than 25 years, now looms as one of the most influential people of the upcoming 2022 NFL season. She primarily has worked on cases involving patent disputes, including the billion-dollar stent litigation, but also numerous trademark infringement and antitrust matters. So she's kind of been in that world. She's been a lawyer. She's been a judge. She knows exactly what to expect and how to make a correct ruling. And then he goes on and says, during her tenure, she served as the first female chief judge for the District of Delaware, as well as being selected to serve on the Judicial Conference of the United States. So as that statement kind of pointed out, look, we are not going to be able to see a decision within the week. I don't believe we're going to see a suspension decision on Deshaun Watson by the end of this week. I think we're going to take some time, or they're going to take some time on this and ultimately try to come to the correct ruling, the correct decision on whether or not he should be suspended. And if he is suspended, how long is that suspension going to be? Whether that's a year, 12 games, 8 games, 6 games, 4 games, 2 games. We are really unsure at this point, but just know the NFL is pushing for an entire season to suspend Deshaun Watson for. The NFLPA is more likely on Deshaun Watson's side, wanting to bring that suspension down as low as possible because they believe that, like again, the owners haven't been held to the same accountability over the last couple years. So hopefully we get this situation figured out, because this Deshaun Watson situation, it's great for us as broadcasters, daily show hosts, because it's something to talk about, right? But with the matters at hand, the allegations at hand, it's kind of like, well, I don't want to give my full opinion on it because I don't know what my full opinion would be. My full opinion would be, okay, if he's guilty, if he did it, scumbag. I've already went through that. He's a scumbag. We don't want to see him play in the NFL, represent the NFL, and get all the money in the world. We'd want to see him face the consequences. But if he didn't do it, give him that suspension, 6 weeks, 8 weeks, whatever the case may be. Let's move on, and let's see how he does handling this whole situation, because we all know that has to be grueling on his mind. Like, that just has to be something that's going to stick to him forever, and hopefully he can bounce back from it. So whatever happens, whatever the case is, just know that the Deshaun Watson hearing will begin tomorrow on the civil cases. I believe on only those 4 civil cases, but they are still looking at the entirety of the 24 allegations against Deshaun Watson. But don't expect a decision this week. Expect it at least before training camp, which begins in late July. More NFL news. So actually, big news. It's not really NFL news, but it revolves around 2 former NFL athletes, 2 former running backs, 2 studs at one point in their career. One more of a stud than the other. But we're getting a treat here, folks. We are getting an absolute treat, and I cannot wait for this to actually take place. But ladies and gentlemen, Adrian Peterson and LeVeon Bell have signed contracts for a heavyweight boxing exhibition on July 30th, which will be taking place at Crypto.com Arena in Los Angeles. Sources tell at Mike Coppinger. This is actually tweeted by ESPN Ringside, so they are verified. They are a legit source, okay? They're not messing around. They're not giving us lies or whatnot. Because earlier today it was reported that they potentially might have a boxing match. Wasn't for sure, wasn't set in stone, but shortly after that, actually a couple hours after that report, bam, it has become real. Adrian Peterson will be taking on LeVeon Bell. I am so pumped for this, right? So Peterson and Bell will meet on the undercard of Social Gloves 2, an event promoted by YouTube star Austin McBroom. McBroom takes on fellow YouTuber and Hassan Gibb in the main event. Don't know who that dude is. Austin McBroom, I believe, fought a couple months ago or at least a year ago or something like that. Don't really remember what happened with that fight. But to be the undercard of this is going to be an electrifying event. I cannot wait for it because you have two heavyweights, which is mind-boggling. These guys are massive athletes. Adrian Peterson, an absolute stud in the National Football League for quite some time. A G, if you will. And then LeVeon Bell. LeVeon Bell, who's been in the boxing ring multiple times preparing for a time like this. Has AP been performing well or has he been training? Really unsure, okay? I'd assume he has. Just know for 100% fact that Adrian Peterson is going to come into this match in shape. Okay, he's definitely still working out, trying to pursue that NFL career, trying to make it back into or onto an NFL roster because he believes his career is not yet over, not yet finished. And I don't know how I believe or how I think about that, but if he says he has more in the tank, ladies and gentlemen, you have to believe him because he might just have more in the tank. That might not be 1,000 yards, but that might be a solid number 2 guy, maybe even a better number 3 guy in NFL roster. But this heavyweight matchup is going to be electric. I cannot wait. July 30th at the Crypto.com Arena in Los Angeles. Two behemoths going at it. Who's going to win? You'd have to assume Adrian Peterson is going to be the fan favorite of this one, or at least the favorite for the card. But with the videos that LeVeon Bell's been putting out, his training videos of boxing, he might be the favorite. It's going to be a fun little matchup. Hopefully knockouts are allowed. Hopefully there's a winner allowed and there's not like any ties or anything that's like that's going to happen. But these two will be meeting up July 30th at the Crypto.com Arena in Los Angeles. So with that being said, the NFL is really dead. Nothing's happening, but that's because we are in that current time period. Nothing is literally happening. This is the first period of all year where there's nothing happening around the NFL. We had OTAs, we had the draft, right? And had everything leading up to the draft, April 28th. The draft took place, then we had rookie minicamp. Then we had OTAs, then we had mandatory minicamp, and now from mandatory minicamp or from the end of mandatory minicamp all the way to the beginning of training camp, which is late July, there's nothing happening. So we're going to cover as much as we can, as much as possible, as much as information that we can get out there as we possibly can. So with that being said, go enjoy the rest of your day. It's a beautiful one out there. If you haven't yet, go jump over to the Minnesota Vikings Syndicate page. And if you are a Vikings fan, you'll get to see my expectations for the Minnesota Vikings this upcoming season. It is a good one. Hopefully you all enjoyed it. Hopefully you all enjoyed the show today. Enjoy the rest of your day. Be safe out there. And most of all, stay happy and be happy as possible. Have a great one. We'll see you tomorrow at 6 p.m. Central Time. And you just got your fix with the Wicks.